welcome to SVG TV's news for Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. An additional 3 government MPs have tested positive for COVID-19 on rapid testing this morning, which brings the total to 7 or half of the government MPs who have tested positive for the virus. The latest COVID-19 positive MPs are Deputy Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel, Minister of Public Service and Frederick Stevenson, and Senator Rashad Bala. Meanwhile, new protocols for the operation of Parliament were circulated on Tuesday after the positive results for Minister of Finance Camilla Gonsalves and Minister of Urban Development Senator Julian Francis were made known. The protocols required unvaccinated members or those who have not disclosed their vaccination status to quarantine for 5 days if they were present when the finance minister delivered the budget address on Monday, January 10th. 3 members of the opposition, including MP for East Kingstown Fitzgerald Bramble, MP for the Southern Grenadines Terence Oliver, and Senator Shavon John, were affected by the new protocols and were sent home on quarantine for 5 days. Speaking on the impact of the positive COVID-19 cases on Parliament, and his colleagues, opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday proposed that the budget debate be postponed for at least 5 days, noting that last year's budget was debated in February.
Notes from the last budget debate, and the budget speech was actually made on the 1st of February last year. We are now today the 12th of January. So we have considerable time. You have asked members from my side, and I have no qualms about talking about my members as to who have been affected in their ability to participate in the House, because they came here on Monday, because that is the information that we are using to say that they are not. They will not be able to participate now. That they came here on Monday, did the test as was required, were negative, came to the chamber, and now today they've come back, they've done their tests again, they're negative, and they're told that they can't participate in the debate of the House. So even if we're talking about voting, it comes back to another question as to how the members participate in this very important exercise, which the Prime Minister said is so critically important, if they are not allowed to be here to make their presentation.
Speaking on the urgency of passing the 2022 budget, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves rejected the proposal by opposition leader.
In particular, the Prime Minister, and the way the rules are written, that the Prime Minister can answer questions if the members with respective portfolios are not present. The second is a practical matter with 2 limbs. I don't want to revisit the issue of the urgency so that we can help poor people for certain monies which are new, and the urgency is palpable. But the second one is this. Today, we have one set of persons who are not who have tested positive. They may come back on Friday or Monday and are negative, and others among us, I included, the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Social Development, the Minister of Health, the Honorable Minister of State and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, plus me, we could be struck down with it. The member for Central Kingston who is vaccinated, he could be struck down with it. So to all other members over the other side. So what you're going to say? You then adjourn it again because there are some people who are missing? We have to go with what we have and do the work of the people and come to the conclusion.
Other members of the opposition who were in Parliament today supported their leader's position for a postponement of the budget debate.
This is the worst state we have ever found ourselves as a Parliament, for circumstances beyond our control. What's the haste? Why can't we allow for a reasonable time to allow fuller participation, ventilation, and discourse, and for our people to get a better appreciation of what is being proposed to improve their livelihoods? That's not an unreasonable request. We cannot assume that they are not interested in our parliament. That is being very presumptuous.
Is free of COVID as the testing regime permits. So I am at a total loss that anyone who was present when the Minister of Finance was speaking could be exposed, unless we are simultaneously admitting that the Minister of Finance was in fact positive at the time. Thank you, Madam.
After hearing the position of all parties, the Speaker of the House allowed for the debate to continue. In COVID-19 related news now, a second fully vaccinated person in SVG has died from COVID-19. A news release from the Health Services Committee of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said a 68-year-old female with pre-existing conditions died at home on January 10, 2022, after a respiratory illness with features typical of COVID-19. The release said a post-mortem test for COVID-19 was positive, confirming that the cause of death was COVID-19 pneumonia. The woman was fully vaccinated. Her death brings the country's death toll from COVID-19 to 85. Meanwhile, 228 cases of COVID-19 were recorded over a 5-day period, with 3 non-travelers detected with the Omicron variant. 91 of the positive cases were reported from 377 samples collected on Thursday, January 6th, resulting in a positivity rate of 24.1%. 84 new rapid antigen positive results were also reported from flu clinics on Friday, January 7th. 61 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 344 samples collected, resulting in a positivity rate of 17.7%. 88 new rapid antigen positive results were reported from flu clinics on Friday. 48 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 245 samples collected on Saturday 8, resulting in a positivity rate of 19.6%. 39 new rapid antigen positive results were reported on Saturday from flu clinics. No new COVID-19 cases were reported from 9 samples collected on Sunday, January 9th. 22 new rapid antigen positive results were, however, reported from flu clinics on Sunday. 15 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 46 samples collected on Monday, January 10th, resulting in a positivity rate of 31.9%. 111 new rapid antigen positive results were also reported on Monday from flu clinics. On Tuesday, January 11th, 13 new rapid antigen cases were reported from 20 samples collected, resulting in a positivity rate of 65%. 123 new rapid antigen positive results were also reported from flu clinics on Tuesday. The news release on Tuesday further noted that sequencing results received from CAFA on Monday, January 10, 2022, and Tuesday, January 11th, confirmed the presence of the Omicron variant of concern in 2 samples taken on December 27, 2021, and 1 sample taken on December 28th from a person with no travel history. In terms of hospitalization, no patient has been admitted for COVID-19 at the Argyle Isolation Facility. However, 18 patients have been admitted to the COVID-19 ward at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, 5 of whom are vaccinated and 13 are unvaccinated. 43 recoveries were noted over the reporting period. 920 cases are currently active and 85 persons with COVID-19 have died. 6,575 cases of COVID-19 and 5,570 recoveries have been recorded in SVG since March of 2020. Meanwhile, in a news release issued today, the Ministry of Health announced that effective immediately, the Molecular Laboratory Unit, the MLU, will no longer facilitate exit screening for PCR testing at this time. It is said persons previously granted permission to utilize this service are asked to do so privately, and that it is monitoring the situation closely and will update the public accordingly. Through the end of 2021, post-volcanic initiatives to date have directly touched over 21,000 Vincentians to the tune of more than 40 million EC dollars. This was noted by Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez during his presentation in the 2022 budget in Parliament on Monday.
Never before in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has the government spent so much money on the well-being of so many people in so short a period of time. But our volcano response is not nearly complete. During the May 2021 presentation of the supplementary budget, we made it clear that, and I'm quoting the presentation then, this supplementary budget does not purport to be the government's full and final response to the La Soufrière catastrophe. It is merely the first salvo in the state's response to the most urgent humanitarian and cleanup challenges that we face. Further far-reaching budgeting and financing responses will come in the coming months when we have a more accurate assessment of the losses, damages, and dangers that we are confronting. Budget 2022 now kickstarts phase 2 of our response to the monumental social, physical, and economic impacts of the volcanic eruptions. On the heels of the $118 million allocated just 7 months ago, Budget 2022 contains an additional $50 million in volcano-specific capital expenditure to take place in the coming year.
The Finance Minister said much of the expenditure for Phase 2 of the response to the impact of the volcanic eruption will come in the form of projects under the umbrella of a fresh initiative called VEEP, the Volcano Eruption Emergency Project.
The VEEP is a multifaceted, multi-year, $113 million package that was painstakingly negotiated among this government, the World Bank, and the European Union. The VEEP contains over $20 million in early recovery initiatives and further income support, and close to $85 million to fund restoration of critical services and infrastructure while improving our capacity to respond to future emergencies. Starting in 2022, the VEEP will fund multiple interventions within the Ministries of Works, Agriculture, Social Development, plus NEMO and the CWSA.
Among the many components of the VEEP program is the allocation of $11.5 million to provide temporary cash transfers and income support to volcano-impacted persons in the red and orange zones.
$5.8 million allocation will construct at least 41 houses to complement the 27 homes already under construction at Orange Hill. Additionally, $6 million has been allocated to the purchase of building materials, the bulk of which will be used to repair the 771 damaged homes in the red and orange zones. The Mustique Company has agreed in principle to a further $6 million to the construction of homes and relocation of vulnerable residents. We are grateful for the Mustique Company's continued generosity in this time of need. Additionally, and accordingly, in 2022, more than 150 volcano-affected families will move into freshly built homes. More than half of those families will be relocated to areas that have been scientifically assessed as safer for habitation than their current locations.
Minister Gonsalves, however, noted that the volcano response is not limited to Veep and that Budget 2022 will continue to the work that they began in the immediate aftermath of the eruptions to assess and address the destructions of homes in the red and orange zones. He said a total of 104 homes were completely destroyed by the volcano, with another 771 requiring moderate to extensive repairs, with an additional 58 homes identified as unsafe for habitation in a post-eruption environment. As such, the finance minister said Budget 2022 contains $5.8 million to continue to the relocation of 68 families whose homes are in areas deemed as vulnerable to lahars and flooding.
$11 million to assist in the recovery of the agricultural sector. $15 million to strengthen the National Emergency Management Organization. $14 million to restore, upgrade, and strengthen water infrastructure in the north of St. Vincent. $40 million to repair and restore bridges and roads, particularly bridges over the river, and the purchase of additional heavy equipment. $8 million to support the labor-intensive temporary employment program known by the acronym LITE. The LITE program will hire local labor on a short-term basis to perform critical community works in preparation for or in response to the lingering threats of flooding, lahars, damaged roads, and compromised infrastructure.
Beyond Veep and the fresh housing initiatives for volcano-affected families, Minister Gonsalves said Budget 2022 provides $17.1 million for the continued removal of ash and volcanic debris, $2.3 million to provide meals and food for affected families, and $1 million to purchase appliances for residents who have lost everything to the volcano. 7 years ago today, on January 12, 2015, 7 children from the close-knitted community of Fancy in the northern part of the island lost their lives at sea after an omnibus they were traveling to school with reportedly developed mechanical problems and went over an embankment into the rough sea at an area known as Rock Gutter, located between Fancy and Oya. The tragic incident plunged Fancy and the entire community into a state of mourning. To the date, 2 of the 7 bodies are yet to be found. Nelicia Stay, the mother of Chastacia Stay, whose body is yet to be found, told SVGTV News via telephone interview today that the loss of her first child, who was 12 years old at the time, remains a painful memory.
I would have liked to see some. At least the driver didn't get charged. He didn't get any sentences for the loss of those 7 lives. And for me, the remorse is not really remorseful. I don't see that remorse for the accident. He'll be responsible for what happened. So that doesn't help the situation at all. It makes it even worse. Make it more painful. Most of his words were, let no man judge him. Leave all judgment to God. And for me, that was really, those words are really, for me, he puffed up him. So all these years, I still feel the same, and I didn't get the justice that I was looking for.
Every year, families of the deceased go to the site where the incident took place, as well as their burial site in Fancy, to place wreaths in remembrance of their loved ones. Stay said she could not go this year as her emotions are still raw, remembering the tragic morning in 2015 when her world was turned upside down.
Did they just come back? If it's fresh again? The loss is there. The pain, the emptiness just won't go away. And it's really, really rough. Really a bad day for me today.
The other child whose body was never found is Simonique Ballantyne, a former student of the Georgetown Secondary School. There were 21 persons in the omnibus and 14 survived. Mother of one of the survivors, Carlita Thomas, told SVG TV News via telephone interview today that each year on January 12th brings back dreadful memories for her and her entire family about what took place in 2015.
A piece of steel went through his leg. A piece of steel went through his leg, but it didn't come through. It didn't come right through. It's stuck in his leg. But we carried him to the doctor, the bone doctor. Nothing was happened to his bone. It's his nerves. It still touches nerves. So it had times when he loved cricket, he loved football. And right now he can't play. Because it had time when he play and he cramp out. You know, so it's something we have to live with and he have to live with. We still doesn't remember. But we have to, you know, some people don't say we have to let go, but it's something where we can't let go. Because when the month comes, we always remembering it. And it was a tough day in January. The 3 days with him, I come home back because I was back and forward. My husband was home, he was sick and he was in the hospital. So I was back and forth. Spent 3 days with him, come back home, go back again and stuff like that. It was a rough time. He was on clutch for about 2 months.
Thomas said that her son, who was 12 at the time of the incident, is now 19 years old, and the trauma of the fateful day still haunts him, and that he is getting counseling.
I think I called his doctor a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Miller, and I think I have to go back over with him again for some counseling. He needs counseling because he acting up very strangely, and he still talk about it. The things he's saying, I don't like to hear. He speak them like he came out of college, because as I tell you, he was talking some things where he can't cope with, you know. And I tell the children of them, well, I had him, and then he just dropped out of college.
Like Stay, Thomas said she does not feel justice was served, as the pain of seeing her son live through the horrors of the accident is worrying. The others who lost their lives on January 12, 2015 are Jamali Edwards and his brother Jamal, who were both students of the North Union Secondary School. Raquel Ashton, a former student of the Georgetown Secondary School, Glenroy Michael of the St. Vincent Grammar School, and Anik Alexander of North Union Secondary School. In Parliament this afternoon, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves remembered the 12 students who lost their lives in the rock gutter tragedy. Prime Minister Gonsalves called out the 7 names of all students and said that he remembers the sad day 7 years ago and prays that their families remain steadfast.
These persons, Madam Speaker, that was a day of great sadness. I remember them every day. The families gave me a plaque, which I have from 2015. I have it up in the office of the Prime Minister, and it's one of the things I would leave when I leave that office, and put it prominently in my own personal study. It is a day of great pain and anguish, and every single year I remember them. Well, I remember them on an ongoing basis when I meet members of their families too. So I want to recognize their passing, and to say yet again, and to say to the families that we continue to be with you and love you, and may Almighty God continue to bless each and every one of you, and you be steadfast. I know it's not an easy thing to lose you.